This is Project Cars 2. I'm MoonieGT, and today we're talking about the best force feedback for Project Cars 2. Wait, no, I'm serious. Like, it's really the best force feedback I've used for Project Cars 2. Okay, roll the intro. Alright, so let's talk about why we're here. About a week ago, I received an email from a viewer of one of my Project Cars 2 video with a new force feedback file for Project Cars 2 attached. In his email, he expressed to me how much he enjoyed Project Cars 2, I think because of all of the awesome cars and tracks that are available in it. But like a lot of you out there, myself included, he wasn't happy with how the force feedback felt in the default game. So he decided to do something about it. Now, I've tried in the past other force feedback files for Project Cars 2. In particular, the Hugo Vi option that's available on Race Department and Christian's Pure Feel force feedback files that are available, I think, in the Project Cars 2 forum. Now, I did enjoy those files. I do think those offered improvements over the default force feedback in Project Cars 2. But now that I've tried the PopsRacer file, this is a whole nother level of awesome force feedback for Project Cars 2. This feels a lot more like what I expect force feedback in any racing sim to feel like. I've got this great sensation of what the weight transfer of the car is doing. Now, we always have to remember with force feedback, it's a very personal preference thing. It's not what I like may not be what you like. You'd be wrong, but you may like, no, I'm kidding. It's everyone gets to like whatever they like, right? But I would be pretty surprised if you tried this force feedback and didn't think it was an improvement over, those other force feedback options. There's just something about how detailed it is. You get the weight transfer side to side, but I also get a great sense of weight transfer front to back. So when you're in a car that's faster perhaps than this Ford GT car, and all of the weight transfer goes to the back, the front end gets light, you feel that in the wheel. When you get off the gas or get on the brakes and you've got more weight on the front, I feel like the steering gets heavier. You can really feel what's happening with the force feedback with PopsRacer's file. It's really good, you guys. I'm really enjoying it. You've got to give it a shot. If you're in the camp of people who've tried Project Cars 2 and didn't like it and wouldn't play it, you should really give this particular force feedback file a shot. And if you like Project Cars 2 and you're using some other custom force feedback file, you should still definitely give this file a shot. I think this gives you way more detailed information about the dynamics of the car than I've gotten in the other force feedback options. I did a bunch of back-to-back comparisons too with the other force feedback options and this new PopsRacer file. And what I kind of realized was it seemed like in those other files you could almost outdrive the force feedback. And I don't really know how to describe this, but it's kind of like if you just kept putting more steering input into the car with the other file, it's like the file just wouldn't keep up with it. It wouldn't keep generating those dynamic force feedback forces once you went past a certain amount of steering input. It kind of felt like it was just giving you a default return spring or something. I'm not really sure how to describe it, but this file just feels a lot more like I'm holding onto the steering wheel in a race car. The forces never go away no matter how much steering input I give, and I don't feel like it was an instance where in the other files it's not like, the feeling went away because you're getting lots of understeer. No, that's not the feeling, and I think once you give this file a shot, you'll be really impressed with how well it feels. I've driven this file on open wheelers. I've tried rallycross, some GT1 cars. I did some Formula vintage cars. It feels good in everything. Now you may want to change the volume a bit. So the way that this file is set up now, I have the gain set to 100 because I think that's what PopsRacer told me to do. And then you can use the volume to kind of change how strong the force feedback is. And I think for this Ford GT on the DD1, I have the I have that set, the volume set to 65, I think, right now. And then what's interesting too is that the tone and FX settings in the force feedback, I think, are mapped to engine vibrations and road vibrations. And I think it's the tone determines how much of the road feel you get through the wheel, and the FX affects how much of the engine. I could be wrong, I could have that backwards, or just flat out wrong. But in the description of this video is the link to the forum post created by PopsRacer with the file. And there's some more detailed write-up about how the force feedback works. And I think you'll see that he started with maybe he used bits of Hugo Vai's and Christian's force feedback files as kind of starting points and evolved them into this current version. But it's really nice that you have the ability to independently kind of adjust those engine and road vibrations, because for me on the DD1 I needed to turn those down quite a bit, and I think it might even have FX to 0 and tone is set to like 10 maybe for me, just to give me a little bit of road feel. But again, that's all personal preference stuff, but I just wanted you to be aware that if you feel lots of vibrations coming through the force feedback, it's probably those effects sensations, and you just need to fine-tune those to your wheel and your preferences. Some people probably like more, I guess, engine and road input than I do. But that's what's great about this file, is you can fine-tune that. But the other suggestion that PopsRacer provided to me was to map the force feedback tone and the force feedback, I guess it's the volume, to wheels on the button, or to buttons on the wheel while you're driving. Because you can adjust those in-game while you're driving in Project Cars 2, which is a really cool feature. And by doing that, you can really kind of fine-tune those settings to your preferences. But that's about it. I can't tell you guys how impressed I am with what PopsRacer has been able to do with the force feedback in Project Cars 2. This kind of, I guess, reinforces what I had suggested in my Project Cars 2 review, that it's not the physics of Project Cars 2 that people were real complaining about. The physics is there. In the background, what's going on with the car is all modeled well, and certainly well enough to have good force feedback. It's just that the force feedback wasn't taking that raw data from the physics and outputting quality force feedback. And I don't know what witchcraft and black magic he used, but PopsRacer's figured out how to get those two to cooperate a lot better. And we now have just really nice force feedback for Project Cars 2. And I really urge you to go check this out and give PopsRacer a big thank you, and maybe buy him a cup of coffee, because this is really elevated Project Cars 2 for me. My only issue with Project Cars 2 now is maybe how the curbs feel, but that's getting pretty picky. So anyways, head to the forum and check that file out. Talk to PopsRacer, give him a thanks. I'm MoonieGT. I'll see you next time. And don't forget to like and subscribe.